Fuel prices up, cargo volume down, additional strains emerge in the supply chain, plus OOIDA's globe-trotting executive VP stops by for a chat about his recent travels, the state of the industry, and more, as an all-new Trucking with OOIDA starts now. Welcome to the show. I'm Scott Thompson.
And I'm Ashley Blackford.
We are joined by a very special guest today.
The one and only Lewie Pugh.
Mr. Lewie Pugh, Executive VP of OOIDA. Lewie, how are we doing today?
Oh, I'm fabulous.
Yeah,
fabulous. How could I not be? I'm on this new show. I mean, it's so exciting.
Yeah, you didn't quite make top billing. I'm sorry. That was Todd.
You are
Todd Spencer. You were. I wouldn't say you were our second choice. Maybe you were our first choice. Don't tell Todd. Maybe you were second. I don't know.
Yeah. I know why Todd got on here first, because he works cheap.
Yeah, that's true. I can confirm. We did not pay him
We
anything.
did not, no.
Yeah, see, he works cheap.
Wait, are they paying you to be on this?
They pay you to be here? You guys get paid?
I mean, I'm volunteering for the love of the game.
Oh, okay. That's what I was told.
One of our engineers, Jim Fetzer, did bring you some free water, though.
Yeah,
With ice.
With ice.
Ice.
Yeah, with ice. So you're doing all right.
From a cool, hilly Grain Valley stream.
And a fine styrofoam cup indeed, as well. Lewie, we're going to talk to you about a great number of things today, and we'll kind of, anybody who's talked to you knows that we can kind of talk about anything. So I think we will do that over the course of the next, hour or so maybe. But as we are apt to do sometimes, we're going to cover some news here. Ashley, I know you've got your eye on a few things here.
Yeah, a few things have popped up. Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance recently held a Brake Safety Day, April 22nd. This was a unannounced brake safety inspection. Happened through Canada, Mexico, the U.S. Out of the 4,569 inspections, 398 of those were placed out of service because of a brake-related violation. Lewie, I'm curious. I mean, we report on these safety blitzes a lot. Did they, back when you were trucking, did they have these weeks, these days? Have they always been a thing?
Oh, yeah, we were blessed with those, too. I mean, it was a great time to take a vacation.
I like your optimism there, your glass half full approach, yeah.
No, it was a good thing, because I was like, oh, this is the week I'm going on vacation.
Right, yeah. Yeah, but the unannounced ones, though, you can't. You
can't, man. You can't get you just luck of the draw there. That's when you take a very long nap in the daytime.
When you catch word that they're out and about.
Exactly. Yeah, you catch word they're out and about. But no, I mean, they had these things, and I understand why.
Yeah.
I mean, enforcement sometimes can be stressful, but I would hate to think what our highways and roads would be without them, and they have a job to do. And I mean, I think in every industry you have that small percentage that sometimes take things to the extreme, but most people out here and most enforcement is they're just looking to do the right thing. And I always said, and Doug Smith, some of our board members and people, by attending CVSA, because now I attend there to represent small business trucking, it's the management or most of the cops there, they got some really good common sense, and they just want to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And I was surprised. It was like the first or second CVSA meeting that I was at. One of the head enforcements from a state I'll leave unsaid said, as much as I'd like to think that my officers in the field use common sense, sometimes there's a few who don't.
Guess what? They're human beings.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So I mean, we can say that about everything.
Yeah.
So.
It's kind of like, I always think of it kind of like a sports game, baseball, whatever sport you prefer. But, you need the players obviously out there playing, but you also need the umpires and the referees to make sure that everybody's kind of playing by the rules and, not throwing at each other.
And that's where I think the rub comes sometimes, is the rule. Per se, because we all know that in that great big giant green book, it's bigger than the Bible, that not all those rules make a lot of sense. Some of them have nothing to do with safety. Some of the out of service stuff sometimes doesn't have anything to do with safety. There's some things that probably should be in there that aren't in there that do have to do with safety. But with all that being said, they have to play by the rules they're dealt. That's where OOIDA and myself and those who go to CVSA or on the Hill, we try to change the rules and get better rules so the rules we are playing under make sense and actually help. And sometimes that gets frustrating, but that's what we do.
I'd like to fact check that. Can we get a word count on the Bible
Yeah, and the green book.
The green, the big fat green book. I bet you're right. I mean, I bet you're right. It is massive.
Yeah.
Well, they both take a long time to read.
Yeah, for sure.
I do find it interesting. One thing you said, a lot of people take vacation, and I mean, I've covered like Market Update for a few years, and it is true. The numbers like really show. Have you found that over the years that's when people are like, all right, this is when we're going to Disneyland?
Yeah, I think a lot of people try to plan around or, do. And I think mainly just because hassle. Honestly, I mean, I joke about it, but I don't think I was ever off the week of safety thing. But, it's kind of funny because there'd be some weeks that when this would happen or, their big annual safety blitz, and it would be, you'd see them everywhere, and then there'd be other times I would drive all week and never see DOT anywhere.
Oh.
Kind of congregating in one area or another.
I mean, I get, and it's probably just because we didn't cross paths or,
right.
I didn't go the way they were going.
Yeah.
So, but it's just always, I always found it interesting.
Yeah, certainly one of the challenges that are out there. Check out that segue. Let's talk about another challenge that I've been kind of following. Ashley, I know you have as well.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see with the conflict between Israel and Iran, and we talked about this the other day on the show as well. Fuel prices, it appears, are starting to rise a lot or a little bit here. I think the concern is that they're going to rise a lot. This is one thing I know, Louis, truck drivers can't control the fuel prices. They're going to do what they're going to do. But I'm concerned as I see this kind of playing out with cost of operations still being very high. If we see fuel prices start to go up as well, fuel surcharges obviously can factor in a little bit. But this is another one of these things that I'm concerned about, at least, in terms of putting another strain on the supply chain and all the folks out there.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, we're in the longest freight recession in history. We feel like we've reached the bottom, at least on rates, from what we can tell from data, barring nothing else craziness happens.
Yeah.
But you're right. Everything's gotten so more expensive. Andrew King in our foundation, I talked to him about this a few months ago. I look at what rates were when I got out of trucking in 2017 and came in the office, and they're kind of like where they were then. Mm-hmm. But everything costs so much more. I mean, the prices of trucks have doubled, the price of oil, tires, all these things which actually I guess tires have went down a little bit. That's the only thing they said in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But with that all being said, you're right. And not only does this affect fuel prices, because that's your number one expense, but trucking, but it also is going to affect, oil when you serve it. I mean, I can't believe what it costs to change oil on a truck nowadays. It's just, I go in trucks, it's crazy, and with these shops. So the problem is going to be, to get, after we wander around the mountain here, is it's just putting more strain on trucking. It's going to make it tougher. It's going to make this recession tail out longer, unfortunately. The good thing, and the one thing I remind folks, is, try to have yourself a good fuel card, kind of pay attention to where you buy fuel, understand fuel and fuel taxes, because just because the sign on the pump, it looks cheap, doesn't mean the fuel's that cheap. It depends on what the tax is in each state. So, if you're out there listening to this, make sure you understand all these things. If you don't, call in here to OOIDA, talk to our compliance department. They're more than happy to kind of help you through that process to understand buying fuel at the best. But those are things, kind of pre-plan. And, when you call in here, we have a great fuel card program here at OOIDA.
A shameless plug.
So, I mean, but it doesn't charge anything monthly or anything, no swipe fees. So, and we have great discounts.
And I know Andrew King and Truck of Success is coming up in October, as it does every year. But, you mentioned Andrew King. He always talks about that fuel surcharge and making sure that you're doing that. That is super important too, as we see potentially prices kind of inch up here. Right?
And one of the big myths out there is there's like a set fuel surcharge or percentage or whatever. There isn't. You have to set it yourself in your contracts and your rates. We have a calculator somewhere.
It's on the OOIDA website. Yeah.
On the OOIDA website, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
I thought it was still there.
It's
But
on
we
the
do
menu,
have a calculator thing you can go on there and kind of figure out how you want to set it. You set your base price and all this stuff. And again, that's another thing you can call in and talk to our compliance department, and they can help you work you through too. But yeah, make sure you're hauling, getting a good fuel surcharge. Make sure you know your cost of operation. I mean, you can't say, we see all these carriers going out of business, and that's because a lot of guys don't know their cost of operation. And, like you said, with the Truck to Success thing, that's another good tool in October. If you're thinking about buying a truck or you're struggling with a truck, look into our Truck to Success class too.
It's really the best time to go.
Yes, it's in October, and it's a fabulous thing. It's 3 days, and you learn all kinds of stuff.
I know one thing Andrew's mentioned before, the cost of operation. I think we have like a chart or something you can plug stuff in and see where you're at.
We do. There is a cost of operation thing on our website as well that you can go on and see exactly what your costs and purchases are, because it's amazing when people run those numbers and finally figure out how many times they find out, oh my goodness, I'm hauling freight for less than for less than what it cost me to run my truck.
Andrew has said before, at Truck to Success, people will plug it in and they're like, this must be broken. Like the number's in red.
Right,
Andrew's like, no, that's
Well, it's important too, because you may have done that, 2, 3, 4 years ago.
Things have changed.
Big time since then. So
probably good to do it.
Yeah, every once in a while.
Yeah.
And we were talking to just kind of about fuel and the strain on the supply chain. I just saw something else, Ashley, and I know you were following this too, out of the Port of Los Angeles. Some concerning numbers there with, I think, cargo volume, right?
Yeah. Of course, with tariffs, a lot of back and forth. But the Port of Los Angeles is reporting that after 10 straight months of year-over-year growth, overall cargo volume has slowed because of tariffs on both imports and exports. Lewie, I'm curious. I know we hear a lot from our members. Have you heard any on, how they're feeling when it comes to the tariffs?
I think a mixed bag. I think, there's a human element in this. Mm-hmm. And as much as the tariffs we hear that aren't really good for the economy and that they're really going to slow things down more, my personal opinion is if tariffs would probably work if it wasn't such a political thing and we stuck to them. What I've seen in my life is we put a tariff on something for a little while and then we trade it off and then it goes away. So it's never really there long enough to have the long-term effect. So we have these short-term things that spike and charge, so it doesn't really play out very well that way.
Yeah.
But I go to the human effect. I come from a place in the Ohio Valley where all the steel mills were gone, the coal mines, all these things have been wiped out. A lot of that stuff is just completely gone. A lot of that stuff has went overseas. There's many reasons for all these things to happen, but usually what, the first thing gets blamed is it just goes overseas because it's a lot cheaper. Yeah. And I'm not saying that's not the truth, but there's a lot that factors into all that.
It's complicated.
So when you come from a place like that all the good jobs and stuff have left, people look at these tariffs as a good thing. And because they feel like they were wrong, that's what happened to them. So you get that into this. And, whether it's right, wrong, or different, people have their feelings and people have their emotions. And that I see that, and I understand both sides of the argument completely. From growing up where I grew up and watching what happened, and then maybe being, I guess, subjected to bigger picture things and stuff since I've came in here. So I see both sides. But I mean, I could take a notebook and fill it with factories and stuff where I've loaded that are completely gone now. They're just not there.
Yeah. And again, this is one of these things that you talk about the personal level that this kind of thing hits. Ashley, you brought up that cargo volume is down. Again, this is something that an individual truck driver is not going to be able to control. Again, I think it's just when you factor all these things in, it becomes a complicated web of, this thing affecting this thing, affecting this thing. And again, it just kind of puts an additional strain on everybody.
And that happens in trucking all the time, because when over here gets slow, the guys with trucks that are over here, they start encroaching in over here where things are really, really good. And then the next thing you know, you've got too much going on over here. So that starts getting really slow. And then you just kind of look around for this. And people, it's just, it's a constant moving of the chess pieces. You have some guys that are going to do what they want to do and never change. But I was always a guy, and I think most guys are successful, that when things start getting bad, you start looking for something else to do. And I always say, if you have a truck and you got smart and you're willing to work and work hard, you can always find something out there to make money.
Yeah. That strikes me because I know this week you zoomed in, I guess, to a webinar. And I think the idea was talking to people about how to bring in younger people into the industry. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Lewie. But when you talk about all these things about all the complications and how everything can, kind of affect one another, when you're trying to bring people into the industry, it's pretty challenging, right, when you look at the landscape?
Yeah, it's really challenging. But I think, to me personally, I don't think the challenges are as much as the cost of fuel and freight and kind of that stuff. I was always able to deal with it. It's the other stuff. And I don't mean to pick on them, but it's the dumb stuff that comes out of Washington a lot of times, the regulations and stuff. Like these regulations we talk about, the rule book we were talking about a little bit ago. Some of these rules don't make sense. This isn't FMCSA, but let's get into you. If you're a driver, an employee driver, you don't get paid overtime. You're exempt from overtime. That's the craziest thing in the world when trucking. You work 70 hours a week. To me, the first way to get somebody to be safe, well, I should say the first top two things, is pay them and train them. We don't do either in our industry. And we don't have any problem getting people in here, as we all know.
Yeah.
400,000 to 500,000 people come in here every year.
They leave because they're getting treated
but they leave because of the treatment and the stuff. I think if you pay people correctly, you train people correctly, you treat them like a human being. And that doesn't go just for the trucking companies. That goes for where you load and unload.
Yeah.
When you sit there for 8-10 hours and you don't get paid, or you sit there for 8-10 hours, you don't get paid and they won't let you use the bathroom, or any of these kind of crazy, or they won't let you park there. They make you go find somewhere else and call you on the phone. You can come back when we're ready and all this. You wonder why people don't stay in this industry? Why can't keep good people? Right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so that's the things I try to talk about and remind people. And I tell these city planners and anybody I can, I was on for example, I was on a call here in Missouri, and they were talking about over in Sedalia, Missouri. There's a lot of industry in Sedalia, Missouri, but these people, the ladies like, but they just can't find trucks because there's this big trucker shortage and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, there's no trucker shortage. And we talked about, and I said, ask the people who are having trouble finding trucks what the turnaround time is on in the gate, load, unload, whatever, and back out the gate if they know. Find that out.
That's great, though, when someone asks you or when someone says that to you. I imagine your brain just like, you're like, hey, all right, here's a chance to kind of convert somebody.
Exactly. And I explained to her the wait times, and I said, you may find that they have a really long time in there. Yeah. And people just don't want to go there. Yeah. And Sedalia is not a hard place to get to. And it's, it's just south of Interstate 70. You got 65, runs right down there. There's 4 lane. It's easy. It's not far out of Kansas City. So there's lots and lots of trucks in the area. And I think, I haven't talked to her since, but I'm interested when we meet again to find out if maybe some of these things rang true.
You'll have to let us know what she says about that. I'm curious.
Yeah, me too.
Now, this week you took part in a panel about the younger generation getting into the industry. What is your message for younger people who are considering getting into trucking?
And it was a fun panel to be on, too. Seriously, though, I like to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, because we need to get out. My message is always, it kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier. We've got to start paying people. We've got to give them overtime. We have really, 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 really got to start training people.
Those 5 reallys.
Yeah, because that's the thing, because you're not going to keep people in the industry. You're not going to have safe truckers. It's not going to be safe on our highways if we don't train them. We also need to educate shippers and receivers to make sure they're loading and unloading trucks in a timely manner, which if we start paying truckers, some of that will kind of work itself out, in my personal opinion. But those are the kind of things that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about, got to allow people to use bathrooms, treat people like human beings. We have to, we also have to get away from this mindset of we got to get these people trained and get them behind the wheel, and it's so expensive to go to trucking school, and because that's what we hear all the time. It's so expensive, so we got to try to figure out how to make it cheaper and easier and all this stuff. We don't do that with electricians. Mm-hmm. I never hear anybody say how long it takes to go to school to be an electrician, or how long it takes to go to school to be a mechanic, or any other trade.
It's a career. They're careers,
they're careers. So why do we have this mindset that we have to make trucking cheap and rush people? It's because they want cheap labor. Mm-hmm. That's why people want cheap labor.
Let me flip Ashley's question, because I think you point out something that's interesting. And when we look at all the problems that are out there right now, and it is a great career. Once you get going and, you get your footing, it is a great career. However, you talk about all the problems there. When you talk about, or you're talking to a young person who wants to get into trucking, that's a different conversation, because, you're talking about fixing these problems all around. What do you tell that person, right, who's thinking about getting into it when all those problems are swirling around? That can be a tough conversation, I would imagine, sometimes.
The first thing I tell them is join OOIDA.
Of course, of course.
That's on that NASCAR driver.
I was going to say, you want to drop the phone number now? Yeah. 816-229-5791.
No, if someone comes to me, and talks about trucking and stuff, the first thing I tell them is find yourself a good training school. Probably go to a junior college or something like that. Don't take anything that rushes you. Think about what you want to do, kind of what you want your career, and it may change. Mine did. Yeah. Whether you wanted it to, or whether it's just circumstances. Mine was more of a circumstance as far as what I thought I was going to do in trucking and what I ended up doing in trucking. But with that being said, think of kind of have some goals, get as much out of your training, and then look for the least bad carrier that will hire you. And I hate to say it that way, but it's kind of the way it is, because you're limited. Mm-hmm. It was the same way when I started. I started truck on my 21st birthday. So it was the same thing for me. But the important thing then is and this is why I tell people to join OOIDA. If you feel like they're asking you to do things you're not supposed to do, or maybe you just want to run by, like, this is what just carrier offers, or this is what just carrier offers. If you're a member here, you can call our compliance department. They'll walk you through and kind of tell you, help you learn, because you don't know. That's the problem. Unless you're family members or something. I was fortunate there to a point, but still there's only so much you can do. Unless you have family members that can guide you, or friends, you just don't know what you don't know. And unfortunately, these least bad carriers, they take very strict advantage of that, unfortunately. So I tell them, once you've picked the least bad carrier, go there and work. Understand that you're probably not going to be home much. You're probably going to get shitty hauls. You're probably going to do things you don't want to have to do for a year or two. But hey, we all started at the bottom. And it's nothing against young people today, but I don't think young people of today have the same understanding or mindset of, I got to start at the bottom, and they feel like they should start higher up. A lot of them, unfortunately, and we all got to start at the bottom. But start at the bottom, take a year, 2 years at the most. Keep your driving record clean. Do everything like you're supposed to do, which you should be anyway. And if you can just power through that first year and a half, 2 years of not making much money, being gone, whatever comes your way, you can pretty much write your own ticket after that. You
Yeah.
can go to the Walmarts of the world, UPS, some of these better fleets.
Sure.
Maybe you buy your own. I don't know what your goals are, but then you can go LETL carriers. Now, some people can be fortunate enough, young enough, and this is always an option too that I point. Look at some of these LTL carriers. They have apprenticeship programs and stuff like that. Find yourself a good place like that. Things you don't do is go to work for a company that wants to sell you a truck, that wants to make you an owner-operator, that promises you all these big monies.
And that looks very appealing to somebody, as you said, who wants to get off to the races.
Yeah, I'm not going to deny when I was starting out, I looked at that stuff. It seemed kind of appealing to me because I wanted to be, I always wanted to be an owner-operator in my truck, and I was like, this is an easy way to do this, but nothing comes easy. I was taught that, thankfully, and, it didn't settle right when you looked at the big picture.
But it's like that in any industry. Yeah. I mean, I think my first job I went to college. My first job was not high paying.
No.
And yeah.
But you know what I'm thinking? When you mentioned, OOIDA, obviously, compliance, several different departments, they're starting out, they can call any question. I mean, if we don't know, enough people in this building would know the answer. How helpful would it have been when we started our career to have some place to call with questions to get answers?
Yeah, that's a good
in
point.
Our journalistic careers? That would have been a game changer.
It would have been, yeah. And you have people in the building, obviously. But if you're a truck driver, you don't have someone in the building. You're in the cab by yourself in a lot of cases. And it can get pretty isolating pretty quick, right?
Yeah, and if you call the carrier to ask them questions, 9 times out of 10, you're calling someone who's on the payroll of the carrier, and they're going to tell you whatever the company line is. And again, when you call here, we're just going to tell you the straight of it. And, we do. Our compliance department's wonderful, and they probably know the answer. But if they don't, they'll get you the answer.
Yeah.
If we don't know the answer in this building, we know somewhere to get the answer.
Yeah. Louie, you're going to stick around. We do have to take a break here in just a moment. But if anybody listening, we want to hear from people who are listening. And if you have something to say about anything we talked about here throughout the course of this hour, please call us. You can call us at 1-800-324-6856. Leave a voicemail. We promise we'll listen to it. We'll respond to it if we can. And we might even put you on the show. You can also email us at podcast@ooida.com. We're going to, again, take a short break here. But when we come back, we'll have Lewie Pugh still sitting right across from us. We've got a lot more to cover, so stick with us. Trucking with OOIDA continues right after this. Welcome back to Trucking with OOIDA. Scott Thompson here, joined by Ashley Blackford and Lewie Pugh of the Bum Steer Cattle Company, which is what his hat says.
Yes. That's my farm.
Oh, okay. All right.
So that's my shorthorn cows that I raise.
All right. You got another plug-in.
Yeah,
you plug in OOIDA, plug in your farm. All right.
I sell farm to table direct beef right from the farm.
I feel like we're about to venture into an infomercial. See you on late night TV.
Born, bred, and raised right in Johnson County, Missouri. It never leaves Johnson County till it goes to the slaughterhouse.
That's perfect. If there's anybody that could do an infomercial,
100%.
Lewie Pugh.
Yeah.
In fact, I think we should make that happen. I would love to see that.
That's a good idea.
How much
what about a ShamWow?
Let's start a GoFund. That's what we're going to do. We're going to start a GoFundMe to fund our first infomercial with Lewie Pugh.
That would be good.
Louie, we have you and I have conversations not related to trucking sometimes, and one thing we've talked about doing for a long time, we've never gotten a chance to, and we're going to now, is and I don't remember how it started. I think because we were both watching Justified, the TV show with Timothy Oliphant, where he's a U.S. Marshal. We were talking about badasses on screen, and our favorite ones, and it kind of spurred a conversation, and we have I think we have a difference of opinion a little bit on who the biggest badasses ever in TV and film are, and you've got a list. You feel pretty strongly about it.
Oh yeah, heck yeah! I mean, I love cowboy movies and action movies and war movies and stuff. So yeah, I'm all about Hollywood and their badasses. I mean, I guess the way I look at our lists are the one thing I've thought about since we've had this discussion is all these people are lucky that you and I aren't movie stars because they would all be second fiddle.
You're giving me way too much credit. I will say that. I can't speak for you, Louie, Mr. Infomercial over there. But I guess the question and as we kind of go down this path here is, how do you define it? How do you define a badass on film? Just someone who's
Yeah, I think he's got to be a tough guy,
Cool.
Cool.
Oh,
or
good.
she.
Ashley.
Here we go. This is coming from the lady off air. I said, "Who's yours?" And she's like, "I think we watch different movies."
Yeah, I think we watch different shows. That's for sure.
Hey, I got a woman one. I do.
All right, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Yeah. So
let's hear some names.
Well, but I want to start off with my top list,
Good.
top two.
All right.
Is
top
probably,
two. Okay.
And I can't. It just depends on which one you're thinking.
Okay.
It's Clint Eastwood and John Wayne.
Yep, can't go wrong there.
You can't go wrong with either one of those. So those are my top one. They fight for top billing.
They should fight.
Say.
That'd be fun to watch.
Yes.
Bruce Lee, Charles Bronson. I mean, a couple that are on the list for me. I think about old Hollywood, and that Ashley's looking at me like she wants to.
From hanging out with you guys around the office, I know you guys are always like, oh, so and so's in this and this, and I've got to watch it. That doesn't. Who's in a movie does not matter to me. What the movie's about matters to me.
Who's in a movie does not matter to you. So there's not like an actor or actress that you're like, oh, I like their films. I'll go see that.
No, I mean Julia Roberts would be the only name that comes to mind that I'm like, I love what she's done. Have I watched a movie just because she's in it? Absolutely not.
By definition, she could be a Hollywood badass.
Yeah.
In a way. She's cool, but not what we're talking about.
I don't really think you look at her as a Hollywood badass. I look at her as a Hollywood leading lady.
Yeah, that's true.
I think she's
I have no one.
I like
to
Julia
table here for this.
Of course, yeah.
To be fair, I like Julia Roberts, but I kind of understand you because I'm kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
Because Scott's the kind of guy, in my opinion. Correct me if I'm wrong. He knows who all the actors are.
Yes.
He knows the singer and everything.
That is not me.
Okay.
That is not me.
I like songs. I like movies. I know actors that I really, really like, and the rest of them, it's like, oh, you know that guy, he was in this, or that girl, she was in this. I don't know their names because they have these discussions upstairs all the time.
Yeah.
Rod and Angel are that way. They know all these people, and I'm like, I don't know who you're talking. And they're like, sure you do. And I'm like, oh yeah, I know that person.
But you don't know their name or what
but
they're
I know
in
Hollywood's
necessarily.
badasses. Yeah.
I hope Julia's not listening to this because she'll be.
Oh, I'm sure
I
she
know
is.
Julia Roberts.
You do. You got.
Heck yeah.
Let's check your phone.
Tuning in.
Who is the most famous person in your phone, Louis? Do you have any famous people in your phone?
No, just me.
Just you.
And my best friend Vomit back home.
Vomit?
Yeah, Big Vomit.
Is that his nickname?
That's his nickname. It started out when we were kids.
I don't think we want to know.
Yeah.
No,
I don't want to know why.
It's nothing you think. It started, in fact, it has a radio. It goes back to radio.
Oh, okay.
Even. So,
all right.
so it's even more for this
Well, now
shit.
we got to hear it.
So when we were kids, when we had CBs in our pickup trucks, and he didn't have a CB handle, so he worked for Mike Vinca, who was a pig farmer. So we started calling Pigpen. So as time moved on, me and him and our girlfriends one time, we went to see the Howard Stern Private Parts movie. Mm-hmm. And Howard Stern did not like his radio producer at NBC.
Oh, right.
And he called him Pig Vomit.
Yep.
And so I started calling him Pig Vomit, and it went from there to Vomit.
Played by Paul Giamatti. I think.
You're right.
See, I do know the names. Yeah.
Yes.
So you mentioned you've got a female badass.
Angelina Jolie. She's
Yeah. What was that movie a few years ago where she was like bending bullets or whatever? Remember that one? Wanted, maybe?
Oh, I don't know what that is.
Wanted.
I know what you're talking about, but I didn't see it. But she was in Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider, of course, yeah.
And then I liked her when she was in Gone in 60 Seconds with Nicolas Cage.
Oh, yeah,
She was a badass car thief.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So you keep mentioning, and we'll move on here in a second, but you keep mentioning older badasses. Is there anybody on any new ones that you're...
I think we had Timothy from Justified.
Of course, that's the coolest dude around.
He's one of the coolest,
Yeah.
but I think we have a new up-and-comer.
Okay.
I think it's Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy, yeah.
I just watched his. I loved him in the movie about the moonshiners and stuff. That's kind of the first movie I ever saw him in. But then I just finished watching Mobland,
Oh, yeah, I've heard that was good.
It's very, very good.
Yeah.
It's very, very
Yeah,
deep.
you were telling me about that.
You have to watch it when you have nothing else to do because you have to really, really pay attention.
Oh, it's one of those things where you watch one, you got to keep binging.
Yeah,
you got to keep watching.
Yeah,
Okay.
but he is really a badass in that show.
All right. Well, Rotten Tomatoes score from Louie on Mobland is certified fresh. From Hollywood badasses to badass trucks, we talked to Todd about this the other day. The American Truck Historical Society. I know you went up there. I know Todd was up there. Obviously, we talked to him about the honor that he received. You had been talking about this show before and basically said this is one of your favorite shows. I know they're all kind of different in their own way and all special in their own way, but this is one that you really, really enjoy going to.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, this is a great thing to talk about after Hollywood Badasses because we got to talk about Chris Christopherson when he was the rubber duck.
Oh, of course, yes.
You know, I mean, trucking badass right there.
Yep,
so.
Yep. Yep.
With a badass Mac.
He wasn't there though. In Madison,
no, he was
Wisconsin.
not, but there was a replica of the truck was there.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Okay,
there's a guy's
that's cool.
got the rubber duck. He's got the truck and the trailer and everything.
Nice.
Yeah,
A little tribute.
Yeah, exactly. A little tribute.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I love the show. It's a great show. If you like cool trucks, old trucks, which I think most truckers do, lots and lots of old trucks. A friend of mine who isn't in trucking, he came up to the show because he just loves old cab overs. And I'm like, if you want to see cab overs, you come to Madison. And he come out. I mean, he was in seventh heaven, and he's not ever been in trucking, has nothing to do with trucking. He just likes trucks. I think they had 850 some trucks there.
Yep.
It was their total count.
Yep.
The people there, it's just, it's just like a good 3 or 4 days of hanging. I love people. The show doesn't officially start till Thursday, but most of them guys show up on Monday and Tuesday and hang out all week and you sit around. And I like just hearing the stories. I've always liked to listen to older guys tell stories because they got good stories. And I guess I'm becoming an older guy with stories now. So, but sitting around talking about the way trucking used to be and all the fun we used to have that some you can talk about on radio and some you can't.
Sure.
And,
yeah.
So it's just a really good time. I tell everyone, if you're in trucking and you just want to go to a fun show and take your kids and stuff, a family thing, look for when the convention moves around. It's in a different place every year. I think next year it's going to be in Cleveland, Ohio, and then it goes out to Oregon, and it's in York, Pennsylvania. Keep an eye. It's always like the first weekend in June. And, keep an eye out. ATHS puts on a great show. They're great people. And there's just a lot of fun, cool things to do there.
And you got to drive the Spirit OOIDA truck there.
Yeah,
right?
I got to drive. I love to get out and stretch my legs. I get real tired of driving a desk because it don't start and it doesn't go anywhere. And so yeah, Marty's been on a little sabbatical. So while Marty's been on a sabbatical, Lou's been taking his truck and out wearing the tires out. I drove it to Austin, Texas a few weeks ago and with Todd. And then this week I soloed up to Madison. I didn't have my co-driver Todd drove up separate. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know whether he thought I did so good he doesn't need to watch me anymore, or he just was scared to death and didn't want to ride with me anymore.
It's probably that one, yeah.
But no, it was fun to get back in the truck and run up there and to Madison, Wisconsin. And I went up through Missouri on 2 lanes one way and came back on the interstate. So did a little sightseeing, as we call it.
Now, when you and Todd get behind the wheel of a truck, what is that like? And
dynamic,
conversation. Yeah. I assume you guys talk about the good old days.
Yeah, we talk about the good old days, and I tease because when Todd and I went to Austin, or we went down over through Kansas and dropped. We went again. I like to go when we come back now, especially on trips like that, and see different things. So we went down through Kansas, going, came back up through Oklahoma and Joplin, coming back. But anyway, we're going through Kansas, and we'd be going by a town there, and Todd be, yeah, he says, one time I broke down over here. He said a head bolt or something broke on his truck, and they come out and fix it right in the parking lot, and the truck stopped. And I'm like, well, those days are gone.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to. And then somewhere else, a valve guide or something, or a push rod tube bent, and guy came out to a parking lot in another town, a gas station, and fixed it. And again, I'm like, yeah, those days are gone. None of this is happening today.
Sure.
And a couple more little things. And finally I looked there, I was like, Todd, I said, I think if I'd have been you, I'd have stayed out of Kansas. It seemed like your trucks didn't like it very well.
The key would be, is it happening if you drove through another state? Would he say, hey, I broke down over there, over there?
Well, he talked about when we were going through Oklahoma, and I'm probably not supposed to say this, but he talked about it. He didn't like going through there because he got a couple of driving awards a couple of times for going through Oklahoma. But hey, truckers relate. I got my share in Ohio. That was Ohio, my home state. They like to give me driving awards a lot. So back in the day,
you got your face up on a bulletin board, I think, in the post office.
Yeah, well, it's tough in Ohio because the speed limit was 55 for trucks, 65 for Ohio.
Split speed,
that's a killer, and traffic's just
zipping by.
You're not even trying to speed. You just get up there and you're rolling, and the next thing you know, Smokey the Bear lights you up.
Yep.
So, But yeah, I mean, we have a good time talking about the old days and talking about politics or arguing about politics, depending on what the subject is.
Sure.
And I guess it's like a truck show. There's some things made for radio and some in conversation.
Yep.
How long had you been in trucking, and then when you transitioned coming to the association?
I guess officially, I think around 25 years I was driving. And then I've been here since 2017. So, and I started trucking. I started driving truck in the military out of high school, and then started driving on my 21st birthday, as we talked about earlier today. Yeah. I mean, back then you either got an orange cab over or a yellow cab over. That was when you were 21 and didn't know anything.
Was that transition into trucking harder, or the transition into what you're doing now more difficult? I think I would assume when I know the answer to be.
And what I'm doing now.
Yeah, right.
I not so much the going to D.C., which I know that blows everybody's mind because I like to talk, and I mean I'm a person who can talk to anybody.
We can confirm that, yeah.
For sure.
But I'm a person that can kind of talk to anybody, and titles, and I mean, I respect them.
Sure.
I'm not. It doesn't impress me.
It's another human being. Yeah.
It's another human being,
Yeah.
and they put their pants on the same way I do. And so I've always been comfortable, and that doesn't bother. I like that. That part isn't hard, and I know trucking, and I understand the issues, and I'm passionate about it. So that part's easy. It's the day-to-day office stuff.
The desk thing you were talking about earlier.
Driving the desk. I mean, we have a wonderful staff here at OOIDA.
Yep.
Wonderful people. There isn't a greater place in the world to work, and with greater people to work with. And it's just getting up in the morning, coming to the same place, sitting at a desk all day, not seeing different things going down the road, not being able to pull over and take my afternoon siesta that I used to take when I was trucking.
You're not still taking those?
No,
Okay.
Todd won't let me. Every time he comes in and wakes me up. I tell him I'm on my safety break.
Yeah. You got the pillow and the blanket in there? Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's
safety break, yeah.
And again, we have great people here, but I miss seeing the brotherhood and some of my friends and
Wings
stuff.
have been clipped a little bit, I guess.
Yeah,
is one way to kind of look at it.
And traveling by air is much more frustrating than traveling by a truck.
Oh, for sure.
You
you don't have control.
much. Yeah, you have no control. You talk about detention time. OOIDA doesn't pay detention time either. I sit at airports for hours
we can confirm
hours
that too.
hours.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you did travel by air recently, I think, right? There was
last week.
Yeah. What was the conference? It was the Eastern Transportation Coalition. Is that right?
Freight Academy.
The Freight Academy.
Eastern Transportation.
TETC.
It's the Eastern Transportation.
Coalition.
Easy for us to say. Eastern Transportation Coalition's Freight Academy.
Okay.
And what it consists of is the Eastern Transportation Coalition used to be the old I-95 corridor people.
Right.
So the states that run I-95 run through. And then they have this Freight Academy every other year, because I was there 2 years ago, and they bring all those people, DOT folks, and not like truck cops, but like DOT people who are building roads, road builders, folks like highway engineers, stuff like that from each state.
And they've done a lot of good stuff, great stuff on truck parking in recent years. They've really tackled that problem, haven't they?
Oh yeah, and it's very good because they bring all the people from the 95 corridor, but then other states, pretty much the whole from the Mississippi River. There was people that represent almost every state from the Mississippi River east, and there was actually someone there from Missouri, and I like to go to these things especially, because these are the people that are out there in the real world. Kind of like we say with trucking, it's good for the government to talk to truckers because they know more about trucking than I do. These are the people these are the people that are building the road. So it's good to talk to them because they're the people that's going to get the parking or try to get the parking or fix the roads and want to hear what's going on or mark the detours when they close roads and stuff like that. So they have this 3 or 4 day academy thing, and they touch on all types of transportation, rail, air, ships, everything. But the trucking part, we talk about, there was myself, a gentleman there from over the size carrier, and there was a gentleman there from the road team, the ATA road team, and myself, and then a gentleman there from the New York State Trucking Association. But we all pretty much, the good thing is we all kind of sing from the same hymnal. This isn't so much like when we're arguing about driver pay. So everybody's problems are the same when it comes to highways. Our infrastructure is bad. We talk about, the huge need for parking, the bullshit on congestion pricing and tolling and how unfair that is to the trucking industry.
Restroom access.
Bring up what I talked about earlier. You need to be talking to your shippers and receivers in your district or when they're coming in. Talking about when they build an industrial park for letting them to park there, the shippers and receivers, maybe offer tax incentives. One thing we talked about was loading and unloading trucks at night. If you want to help congestion in the morning, let the truckers come in at night and unload and load. They'd rather do that than be, sitting there. So a lot of good conversation and stuff. And these people are very receptive. They want this. And I've made tons of contacts from going in, and since then I get asked to talk to other people and been to other things, and been on lots of Zoom calls and stuff like that. So it's very worthwhile, and it's a very good thing. And my hat's off. Mary Grace Parker is the one who runs this.
Yeah,
she's from New York. She's a fabulous lady, and I can't say enough. She gets it. She really, really gets it. And she's always fighting for the trucker and making sure that they're doing the right things for the truckers.
Yeah. And that's important. It's important to have those people out there that understand the problems. Coming up with solutions, obviously a little bit harder, but...
Yeah, and she said, she's from New York, and she used to say when she worked her highway plan, when you close a road, you need to know where you're going to route trucks. You got to remember that. And she said she used to do was they'd get a truck company to loan them a driver and a truck for a day, and they would go out and ride around in these routes when they mapped them out. Oh, wow. And, and she told her people, this is what you should be doing in your state.
Yeah. A lot of issues out there, obviously, and as you said earlier, you can talk about any of them, Lewie. Ashley, any final thoughts here before we say goodbye to Lewie, at least out of the studio here?
Always a pleasure, Lewie. You are a wealth of knowledge, and you're entertaining.
Ashley's far nicer than me.
You're probably more right on the second part than the first part. But hey, thanks, Ashley. I'll take it.
Hey, so if you, we want to hear from you again. If you want to call in, if you've got a question for us, if you got a question for Lewie too, or any thoughts on what we said today, again, our hotline is 1-800-324-6856. You can leave a voicemail, and what you say might be on the show. You can also email us at podcast@ooida.com as well. Lewie, this will not be the last time we talk to you, but we do really appreciate you coming by and talking with us, and we'll see you again soon.
Hey, thanks for having me, and thank you, truckers, for what you do out there. We really appreciate you.
Trucking with OOIDA is back right after this.
Welcome back to Trucking with OOIDA. Ashley Blackford here. Scott also still here. Great chat with Lewie. He is always a fun one to talk to.
He is. Yeah. Was he the one who said it? I think he said it while we were in here. But he can talk about pretty much anything.
And he wants to talk about
pretty much anything, and he will at the drop of a hat. You don't have to do too much arm twisting to get him to go.
Which is great.
Yeah, always great. Always great talking to him.
Yeah.
We'll have him back.
Oh, for sure.
Maybe. Probably. We will. Yeah.
One thing we mentioned, he brought up is the Truck to Success seminar that OOIDA has put on for several years now. Essentially a 3-day seminar that kind of just gives you the ins and outs of what it's really like to own your own business, which there's a lot more to it than I think one would assume.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and the great thing about this, too, you and I have both been to a few of them. Quite a few people there are, company drivers thinking about going out on their own. Sometimes they find out that they're not quite ready, and that's, I think,
That's a success.
Yes, that is a success because they've realized that they're not they're not set up for success at that particular time. There's also people that go there that have been, owner-operators for a number of years, and they go back to get some refreshers. So they've got a couple options, the in-person, obviously, in Blue Springs, Missouri. There's also an online option. So, yeah, it's a great event. They cover a lot of ground, and if you're thinking about making a change or wanting that refresher, it really is a great event.
And I am going to add I think Marriott, is it at in Blue Springs?
Yeah. Yeah, I know where you're going with this.
You know where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I do, yeah. So you talk about it a lot.
I've got a couple of years ago, I went, it is the best. They have the best bacon I have ever had in my entire life. I think I went 2 years ago. I still think about this bacon.
Is it worth the price of admission?
For
maybe they should put that on the flyer for
should.
Truck to Success. The best bacon this side of the Mississippi.
I'll mention it to the powers that be.
Yeah.
So, anyway, enough about bacon. But if you do want information on that, OOIDA.com, you can get all that there.
Yeah, under the menu, I think there's a Truck to Success tab under that menu there. So, yeah, definitely check that out.
Yeah. Another story that kind of caught our eye, any cargo theft story I find interesting. Just to see how those happened, to see what was stolen. This happened. Where did this happen?
This happened in Colorado, I think, near Bennett there, right? At a Love's truck stop, or I guess the theft didn't happen at the Love's.
Yeah, they don't know actually when the theft happened.
But it was like $1.4 million in Nintendo 2
Switch 2, yeah.
Nintendo Switch 2 consoles, yeah, which this is the console that just came out. But $1.4 million. I think more than 2,800 consoles were stolen. I've seen this one's interesting for a number of reasons. Again, I think, as you mentioned there, law enforcement doesn't quite know where the theft happened. The truck driver doesn't quite know where the theft happened. If you look through the comments, I think there is some
people are suspicious.
Yeah, there's some skepticism,
and
again, we don't know what happened, and I think law enforcement is still figuring this out too. I imagine they're going to figure it out one way or the other, but people pointing out that this truck driver, maybe should have realized that their load, the load was missing at one point. Again, we don't know what happened here, but these stories are interesting. I think this one's interesting too because of what was stolen.
Yeah,
Nintendo
that's kind
Switch
of a
2
hot ticket
consoles.
item right now.
Very hot ticket, and I think they're tough to find. I think, or will be if they're not already, for sure.
Yeah. Kind of something in relation to that, another scam, if you will, in Tennessee. Saw a group of people targeting truck drivers, asking them to play a betting game
in the parking lot.
In the parking lot, which is this happening a lot? I don't know.
I don't know. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Anytime someone approaches you in a parking lot and wants you to come over and hey,
let's play a game.
Would you like to win some money? I'm good.
Be a little leery of that.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah. So definitely keep your guard up about that. A few people lost money, jewelry.
Tennessee, right? That was in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which also had another issue there too with texting scam. One of many states is dealing with that. So, we were talking about Truck to Success and how difficult it is to succeed in trucking. Cargo theft.
There's a lot of people against you.
People taking jewelry and money in parking lots, and texting scams. It's a lot, and just be careful out there, and be cognizant of what's going on around you, and please be safe and smart.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of safe and smart, I don't know, was that a good transition? Ashley and Scott Thompson here for Trucking with OOIDA. We've got another show coming up tomorrow. Looking forward to that, Ashley, and we'll have a lot more of that when we come back. Same time, same place, tomorrow.
I'll be here.
You'll be there. I'll be here.
Can't
See you
wait.
then. Today's episode of Trucking with OOIDA was brought to you by a dedicated team of people that includes Jim Fetzer, Keegan White, Tennille Flick, and Kim Boren.
Got thoughts? We'd love to hear them. Call us at 1-800-324-6845. 856 and leave us a message, or you can send us an email to podcast@ooida.com, and we might include it on the show.